I used to believe marriage was built on love, trust, and unwavering loyalty. Jessica, my wife of 7 years, had been my everything. Our life together seemed perfect: romantic vacations, late-night laughter, whispered promises of forever. I thought we were unbreakable. Then, one night, that illusion shattered. It started with something small. Jessica's behavior shifted, subtle at first. Late-night showers, constant texting, a distant look in her eyes when she thought I wasn't watching. My gut told me something was wrong, but I ignored it, convinced that doubt had no place in a strong marriage. Then came the moment that changed everything. That evening, I was working late in my home office, reviewing reports. Jessica entered, dressed in silk pajamas, pressing a kiss to my cheek. "I'm heading to bed," she murmured. I smiled, brushing her hair back. "I'll be there soon." She lingered for a second before slipping away. Minutes later, her phone buzzed on my desk. Jessica never left it unattended. My pulse quickened. A message flashed across the screen. "Can't wait to taste you again." Same time. Every muscle in my body tensed. My hands trembled as I picked up the device, unlocking it without hesitation. What I found turned my blood to ice. "Him. Last night was incredible. Your body is perfect. Jessica, I miss you already. He has no idea. See you soon, baby." Crushing weight pressed down on my chest. My wife, the woman I trusted with my soul, was lying to me. Deceiving me. Laughing behind my back. The messages spanned months. Desperate, I checked her photo gallery. Hidden among innocent pictures were images that shattered me. Her in lingerie I had never seen before, her smiling in a hotel room that wasn't ours, her lips pressed against another man's skin. I sat there, numb. Betrayal wasn't just a word. It was a living, breathing monster sinking its claws into my heart. But instead of confronting her in blind rage, I took a deep breath. If she thought I was clueless, I would let her believe it. For now. That night, I climbed into bed beside her, my body stiff with anger. She sighed in her sleep, rolling toward me, pressing her warmth against mine. I wanted to recoil. Instead, I made a silent promise. She would soon realize that I was not a man to be deceived. "You said." The next morning, I woke up before Jessica. Her body was curled beside mine, peaceful, innocent, an illusion I no longer believed. I watched her for a moment, memorizing the woman I thought I knew, then silently slipped out of bed. Downstairs, I made coffee, staring at the dark liquid swirling in my cup. My mind replayed the messages, the pictures, the undeniable proof of her betrayal. Confronting her immediately would be too easy. She would cry, lie, twist the truth. No, I needed something better. I needed her to feel the depth of my pain. Over the next few days, I became an actor in my own life. I kissed her forehead when I left for work, texted her sweet messages, pretended to be the same devoted husband she had fooled for months. But beneath the surface, I was planning. I started small. A hidden voice recorder beneath the bed. A GPS tracker on her car. A tiny camera near the front door. Each step brought new confirmations of her deceit. Late-night phone calls, hushed giggles, a suitcase packed when she thought I was asleep. She was careful, but not careful enough. 3 days later, I pretended to be asleep when she slipped out of bed. My breathing remained steady, eyes closed, listening to her movements. The closet door creaked. The rustling of fabric. The zipper of her purse. Then, the hushed whisper. "Hey baby. He's asleep. I'll be there soon." The door clicked shut. Silence filled the room, but inside me, a storm raged. I checked the tracker. Jessica drove across town, stopping at a boutique hotel. I watched the location update in real time, my stomach twisting with every minute she spent there. Hours later, she returned, slipping back into bed like nothing had happened. By morning, I had made my decision. Revenge wouldn't come through screaming matches or broken furniture. No, I wanted to see her crumble under the weight of her own choices. She needed to know that I saw everything, heard everything, knew everything. That evening, I set the stage. Candles flickered around our bedroom, soft music played from the speakers, and a chilled bottle of wine rested on the nightstand. Jessica walked in, eyes widening in surprise. "What's all this?" she asked, smiling. "A little something for my wife," I said, handing her a small black box. She grinned, untying the ribbon. As the lid lifted, her expression shifted. Confusion. Then fear. A single USB drive sat inside. Her fingers trembled as she looked at me. "What is this?" I leaned back, watching her unravel. "Why don't you plug it in and find out?" "You said." Jessica's hands shook as she picked up the USB drive. Her lips parted, eyes darting between me and the small device resting in her palm. I could see the panic rising in her, the desperate attempt to find a plausible excuse before she even knew what was inside. "Go on," I urged, my voice calm, almost gentle. "I made it just for you." She swallowed hard, then moved to her laptop, plugging in the drive with unsteady fingers. The screen flickered to life, and the first video began playing. The footage was clear, her stepping into a dimly lit hotel lobby, glancing around nervously before a tall, well-dressed man approached. They didn't speak. They didn't have to. His hand found the small of her back as he led her toward the elevator. The timestamp showed it was 2 nights ago. Jessica let out a strangled gasp. This isn't. I folded my arms, watching her face drain of color. The next clip played. Audio this time. Their whispered words in bed, caught by the recorder I had hidden beneath ours. "Jessica, I wish I could stay with you forever." "Him, then leave him, baby. He doesn't deserve you." "Jessica, not yet. I have to do this carefully. I don't want to lose anything." She let out a choked sob. "Please stop." But I didn't. The evidence kept coming, messages, pictures, call logs. Her legs buckled, and she collapsed onto the edge of the bed, hands clutching her face. "I can explain." "No," I interrupted, my voice sharp. "You don't get to explain. You don't get to twist this into something it's not. You lied. You cheated. You planned to leave me when it suited you." Tears streamed down her cheeks. "It wasn't like that." I grabbed her phone from the nightstand and held it up. "Then why don't we ask him?" Her face contorted in horror. "No, please." Too late. I had already dialed. The line rang twice before a familiar voice answered. "Hey babe. You on your way?" I smirked, eyes locked on Jessica as I responded. "Not quite." Silence. Then, a cautious, "Who's this?" "The husband." Jessica let out a sob, reaching for the phone, but I stepped back. "I think you two have a lot to talk about," I said before hitting speaker. The man's voice hardened. "Jessica, what the hell is going on?" She stammered, her mouth opening and closing like a fish gasping for air. I was going to tell you." I cut her off with a laugh, cold and devoid of warmth. "Oh, don't flatter yourself. I made sure you wouldn't get the chance." I turned the screen toward her, showing an email I had sent earlier that day, one addressed to her parents, her employer, and the man's wife. Attached were the messages, pictures, and videos. A full exposé of her double life. Jessica's scream was muffled by her own trembling hands. "You ruined me." I tilted my head. "No. You did that all by yourself." "You said." Jessica sat frozen, her face a mask of shock and devastation. The phone slipped from her trembling hands, clattering against the floor. A strangled sob escaped her lips as the weight of my revenge settled on her. "You destroyed everything," she whispered, voice barely audible. I scoffed. "No, Jessica. You destroyed everything. I just made sure you had to face it." Tears spilled freely down her cheeks. "Please, we can fix this." I arched an eyebrow. "Fix what? The marriage you shattered? The trust you burned to the ground?" I took a step closer, lowering my voice. "I loved you, Jessica. I would have given you the world. But you chose to betray me. Not once. Not by accident. You planned it. You laughed behind my back. You used me while sneaking off with him." She shook her head violently, desperation flashing in her eyes. It wasn't like that. I was lost. I made a mistake. I let out a dry chuckle. A mistake. I gestured toward the laptop, where her own words still lingered on the screen. Not yet. I have to do this carefully. I don't want to lose anything. Jessica sucked in a sharp breath, realization dawning. This wasn't just a confrontation. This was checkmate. I already sent everything, Jessica. My voice was calm, almost indifferent. Your parents know. Your boss knows. Even your precious boyfriend's wife knows. She gasped, eyes going impossibly wide. His wife? Oh my God. Oh yes, I cut in. And she was very interested in what I had to share. Turns out, you weren't the only one keeping secrets. I leaned in, watching her flinch as I whispered, your little boyfriend has 3 kids. A perfect little family. And guess what? He's about to lose them all. A wail ripped from her throat. She clutched her chest as if the truth had physically stabbed her. Please, she whimpered. Don't do this. Don't walk away. I still love you. I stared at her for a long moment, then smirked. No, Jessica. You don't love me. You just hate losing. With that, I turned, grabbed my packed duffel bag, and strode toward the door. She lunged forward, trying to grab my arm, but I sidestepped easily. Where will you go? She choked out. I paused at the doorway, looking back one last time. Anywhere but here. Then, without another word, I stepped into the night, leaving behind the woman who had turned love into a lie.